Hello there and welcome, I'm Mike Bermingham. This week we remember Wanderley Wagon, see the latest in 5G advertising boards, watch a fried egg go south, see a kaleidoscopic mind-bending picture and hear words of wisdom from C.S Lewis. To our brain teaser first though, a man stands on one side of a river, his dog is on the other. The man calls to his dog, who immediately crosses the river without getting wet and without using a bridge or a boat. How did the dog do it? The answer to come at the end. Time now for some vintage pictures. Is it vintage, antique or retro? This is a question I had wrestled with and wondered about for some time and decided to look it up. It seems vintage equates to something that is at least 15 to 20 years old, such as fine wine or whiskey. A generally accepted industry standard is that items made from between 20 years ago and 100 years ago are considered vintage, and they clearly reflect the styles and trends of the era they represent. Now, items 100 years old or more are considered antique, whereas clothing from the 70s, 80s or 90s could be defined as retro and go up to 50 years back. So vintage and retro are sometimes interchangeable, whereas antique is definitely not. That's got to be at least 100 years old to be defined as such. Now, speaking of retro, there is a great Irish website and Facebook page called Brand New Retro, founded by Brian McMahon, which covers a vast range of Irish memorabilia for vintage Irish culture and lifestyle. Brian explains it all in a YouTube video called From Blog to Book. Definitely worth a look at. Check it out when you have some time. Now, with the recent voyage to Mars by the United Arab Emirates and NASA with their satellite and Perseverance rover, it's worth remembering it wasn't that long ago that man was about to head out into space for the first time. We see here John Glenn centred in Life magazine from 1962, and some years later, in 1968, the first footprint on the moon's surface. Hollywood itself, of course, always did space movies of one type or another, and around that time, one of the Planet of the Apes series was called Escape from Planet of the Apes. It was 1971, and it was to continue the theme with the Astro Apes pictured here. And now, from some nostalgia from Ireland. Some events from this week back in time include March 23rd, 1847, Choctaw Indians collect money to donate to starving Irish hunger victims, a memorial to which is in Middleton, County Cork. March 23rd, 1998, history is made in Galway when all vehicles are banned from the city's main thoroughfare, Shop Street and its adjoining arteries, and the streets are closed to traffic from 11 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. as part of a pedestrianisation programme to tackle the traffic problems in the city's narrow streets. March 24th, 1968, an Aer Lingus plane, the St. Phelim, crashes into the sea near Tuscar Rock, County Wexford, with the loss of all 61 passengers and crew. March 24th, 2003, veteran actor Peter O'Toole is awarded an honorary Oscar for a career that has spanned more than 40 years. March 27th, 1766, the first publication of the Vicar of Wakefield by Oliver Goldsmith. Now, to a radio comedy sketch series I did back in 1990 called The Mini Theatre. This one features a colleague of mine, Dermot Leyden, who, as an old Irish storyteller, our Shanachie, gives us all some wise words.
Presenting another Mini Theatre. In today's exciting episode, we listen to the wise word of a Shanachie in Leitrim.
Pull up there now a bit to the fire. I'm going to tell you a story about 4 people, named everybody, somebody, anybody, and nobody. Now, there was an important job to be done, and everybody was sure that somebody would do it. Anybody could have done it, but nobody did it. Somebody got angry about that, because it was everybody's job. Everybody thought anybody could do it, but nobody realised that everybody wouldn't do it. It ended up that everybody blamed somebody when anybody did what anybody could have done. However, I want everybody to think about that, and nobody forget it.
You've been listening to another mini theater. Tune in next time, the same station.
Food for thought then and now. Question of the week. What is Ireland's most famous kids' TV show? For the answer to this, we have to go back in time. If you ask anybody in their mid-40s onwards, the answer that will most probably come back will be that of Wanderley Wagon. Created by Eugene Lambert, who passed away in 2010, it first aired in 1967, with further series running until 1982. Memorable puppet characters included Crow, Foxy, Sneaky Snake, mice, squirrels, and the ever-faithful dog Judge. Human characters included O'Brien, played by the show's creator Eugene Lambert, Grandma, played by Nora O'Mahony, Forty Coats, who was later to get his own spin-off show. He was played by Bill Goulding at first, and later by Fran Dempsey. Not to forget the dreaded Dr. Astro, played by the late Frank Kelly. The caravan itself was reminiscent of the type used by Ireland's travelling community up to the 1970s, and would travel to all kinds of places, including folklore and mythological places like Tirnanog, because it possessed magical powers that could make it fly and travel through time. They were also part of Ireland's Safe Cross Code initiative in the 1970s, and I remember wearing this badge as a kid. They even released a vinyl record at one time featuring such songs as It's a Dog's Life, I'm Foxy, Sweet Shop Rock, and the theme tune. By 1982, it was the end of the road for this much-loved show, and despite protests, it was unfortunately not to return. The Lambert Puppet Theatre can be found on Facebook, so drop by their page when you have some time and perhaps leave a message regarding your memories of the show. It was such a part of our youth back then. Now, RTE released 2 DVDs back, many years back, which are out of print, unfortunately. I'm lucky to have these myself, bought them at the time, but some copies, I believe, are still circulating on Amazon and eBay. However, it would be great to see the RTE player dedicate a section to fondly remember shows like Wanderley Wagon, indeed the Reardons, Tolka Roll, Glen Row, the Live Mic, Quicksilver, the Spike, and many other classic shows where they would be resident there for us all to relive again. And now to Video. You've got to hand it to the Chinese as innovators. These are the latest 5G advertising boards in China. I couldn't take my eyes off them when I first saw it. The thing with these is they will probably become standard in a while, but for now they have that eye-popping wow factor. Amazing. Thanks to Yan Kwai for that one. And if seasoning a fried egg, you must remember, a gentle touch is needed. Eggs and hoovers, not a good combination. Now to a mind-bending picture. There's a wonderful effect when you look at a kaleidoscope. The image swirls and changes as you use the device. Well, now here's a kaleidoscope-like image that seems to have the same effect. As you watch closely, the four corners, and indeed the centre, seem to move of their own accord, creating somewhat of a hypnotic effect. And now to our brain teaser answer. A man stands on one side of a river, his dog on the other. The man calls his dog, who immediately crosses the river without getting wet and without using a bridge or a boat. So how did the dog do it? The answer is that the river was frozen. Now the final word, quote or affirmation from C.S. Lewis. You are never too old to set another goal or dream a new dream. Yes, so true. For as long as you live and the desire is always there, no matter what age you are, wonders can still happen. In fact, it does you good to keep pushing out of your comfort zone now and again and keeping hope alive as well. It reminds me of another quote I once read that goes, as long as life goes on, there's always something new to be done. Carpe diem, my friends. Latin for seize the day. So a couple of things of interest that I've discovered over the last several days. Hope you enjoyed watching. We are on Facebook, Instagram and YouTube. And if you can, please share this video forward to help grow our family of Miscellany watchers. So that's it for this week. Thanks again for looking in. Be nice and keep in touch with one another out there. Be safe and be well. And bye for now.
From the home studio of Michael Bermingham.